Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the VainGlorious podcast. I am your host, Chris R. I've already attempted to make this video, and my microphone was off. So we're just gonna jump straight to the point. WCPW Loaded has been canceled because WCPW and WhatCulture don't have the funds to make it happen anymore. They can't do weekly programming because after the advertiser boycott, YouTube tried to remedy the situation by going after videos or content that wasn't advertiser friendly, and wrestling was put into that particular category of non-advertiser friendly, which is dumb because I understand wrestling is violent. I understand, there's violence and stuff in wrestling, but you can't. I'm trying to think of a way to say this. You can't just, not show violence. Like, you can, obviously, but it's not that bad. Like, WCPW, they had some hardcore matches, and they used chairs and tables, but I don't believe they often bled that much, or I don't remember WCPW having much blood or really brutal carnage. They've had chairs and they've had tables. I'm not saying they haven't had any of, some brutal moments, but it's not really that bad, you know. And a lot of wrestling today really isn't that bad, because now hardcore wrestling is becoming taboo, and while you can still find that, if you look at WWE or NXT or New Japan or WCPW, whatever, a lot of it is just the wrestling. It's the wrestling, it's the storylines, and that's that. Now, some companies choose to go about that. Some storylines are more mature, some companies might have more swearing or cussing or whatever, but still, in the end, just saying, oh, wrestling is non-advertiser friendly, wrestling, it gets advertisement. Like, if you watch an episode of Monday Night Raw, which is about 3 hours, it's about 30 minutes, maybe even more of that, in commercials. So it's advertiser friendly, but apparently, presumably since it's violent, wrestling is, it's just non-advertiser friendly at this point. And definitely, WhatCulture, you're probably not watching this, but if anyone from WhatCulture is, my thoughts go out to you, because this definitely sucks. Not just for you, but for me and, possibly the thousands of other people who really liked WCPW. Loaded was like my favorite wrestling show, if I'm gonna be honest. In times when WWE was boring or just not very entertaining, I could look at Loaded and I'd be like, yeah, Loaded, great. WCPW, favorite wrestling company at the moment. But and yeah, that really does suck. That now they can't even make Loaded anymore, and who knows what's going to happen at this point if things go even more downhill, and then what's going to happen in WCPW in the future? Will they just have to cancel it if this problem doesn't go away? And it's going to be, because not every YouTube channel has something as big as a wrestling company, but what happens if it's just now some people just can't even make YouTube videos at all, or just not very often, because they use it as a living, and now they can't even use it as a living because of all the advertisement things that are going on where they can't even get really paid for it. WhatCulture's Adam Bompier said in this video that on WCPW's channel, where they posted Rey Mysterio versus Alberto El Patron from the WCPW Pro Wrestling World Cup Mexican qualifiers, that got like 1 million views, and to date, they've made $43 off of that video, which is terrible. That is shocking, and I could see how that could even be scary to some people, to sit and look at all of those numbers, all of those people who've seen that, and they've only made $43 off of that, how could you really go on? Like, if that continues, what's going to happen to WhatCulture, period? I mean, they've got over 1 million subscribers. They've got like 1,100,000 subscribers. They've all obviously got a good amount of people who love and care about them and care about their content. So if something happens to WhatCulture, where WhatCulture starts to cut back on the content they release, not only does that affect them, and it'll affect YouTube in the long run, but it also affects the people that really enjoy this. Because YouTube, it's, at the end of the day, it's like, it's entertainment. People come on here for music, they come on here for music videos, and for short films that are posted on here, professional wrestling content, movie reviews, and the like. And it's for entertainment. And it might get to a point where people just start charging for their videos, where YouTube gets to a point where, okay, all these advertisers have backed out, now let's start to, make some more paid videos. Like, people, really got upset for the CM Punk video that I believe costed 99 cents, which I can still understand. Like, 99 cents doesn't sound like a lot, but it's not a good feeling when you have, some entity that you really enjoy, and then all of a sudden, after it being free forever, then all of a sudden you have to pay for it. But, I get that this is a rant, some of this might not even make any sense, but like, what if it does get to that point where people just have to start making more paid videos like that? And no one would want that, and there are people with Patreons, and Patreon definitely does help. Some people might not want to use a Patreon. General Jerry said he doesn't want to use a Patreon. He outright refused it in a video, and that's something you gotta respect, because he does want to make it and see what happens without a Patreon. But for the people who do have that would definitely be helpful and avert probably some problems. But yeah, this is definitely not looking good. I definitely really understand the severity of this whole Ad-Pocalypse situation now. And I'm going to kind of end this here. I have been Chris R. from Chris R. Gaming and Wrestling. This has been the VainGlorious podcast. And yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you in the next video. WhatCulture, you are great. I mean, you've definitely done, some things that people haven't enjoyed, like the paid content and everything, but despite all of the flack you've gotten for some of your advertisements and things like that, I'm sure all of those people still love you, just like I love you. You guys are awesome. And that's all I've got to say for this video. See you next time.